I can't tell what's wrong or right. Should I go without saying goodbye? All I know is I need to be somewhere else to set me free. I don't know what to do now. Need to figure it out, but I don't know how. I hope the wind will carry me and take me away to where I should be. I don't know where I belong, but I keep on searching for my home. There's a hunger in my soul, makes me keep on trying, holding on. Take me all the way, all the way. Take me all the way, and I keep on searching for my home. There's a place where the sun won't go away. Wide awake with an open mind, looking out from a mountain high. I don't know what to do now. Need to figure it out, but I don't know how. I hope the wind will carry me and take me away to where I should be.
G'day everyone. Welcome. This is 10K celebration live stream. Thank you for joining me this morning. It's really good to be here. It's really good to be here at 10K subs. Drop me a comment down below and I'll bring you up on screen, and we will talk today a little bit about why it's taken me 5 years and 5 months to get to 10K. I'll take you on a little bit of a journey. I'll show you where I started and a few different things that happened that got me here today, including your help. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. It's really good that you could join me this morning. There's a few people in here already. Let's bring a few comments on screen before I start. Paul. Good morning, Paul. I put notifications on for this. I never put notifications on for YouTube. They are evil. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you for doing that. Actually, I texted Paul as well. Paul lives up the road from me as well. And I just let him know. But this is really cool that you do actually put notifications on for this. I scheduled this actually last night, so it'd be interesting to see how many of you saw this beforehand. But thank you very much, Paul, for coming in. Stefan, Genov, congratulations, well deserved it. Thank you so much. That means a lot. It's really cool that you're able to join me here today. Thanks so much. That's I really appreciate that. And Nabila, thank you so much. Congratulations to me and congratulations from you. I really, really appreciate all of your guys' support. It's really, really cool. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm going to drink coffee. I'm going to be here for just over an hour or so. I guess I've got a few other things that I need to do this morning. Got an interesting video coming out in the next couple of days, so that'll be cool for you to be able to watch if that's what you're into. And a few interesting things coming up in the whole of June, believe me, including a little bit of a sprint about a few things. So you can expect about daily videos in the second half of the month for me for a little while. Can't say any more. Paul, yes, it has been quite the journey, interrupted a couple of times. So yeah, maybe we'll get onto that quite soon, and I'll just take you through a little bit about what's happened. So yeah, grab a drink. I've got myself, I don't know if you saw my community post a couple of days ago, had a bit of an upset sort of tummy over the last few weeks. So I'm trying to kind of exclude milk and dairy from my diet at the moment. I don't know if any of you have tried doing that, but I kind of like did a little bit of an audit on how much dairy I actually have, and it's actually quite a lot. And trying to rule that out has been an interesting little experiment. So I've got an almond milk coffee thing in here, which is kind of okay. I have to say I prefer oat milk. Some people have told me that macadamia milk is apparently amazing. I've never tried it. Not so easy to get here, as the person who told me is actually an Australian. So yeah, it's a lot more easy because they grow a lot of macadamia nuts over there. So it's easier to get over there. It's cheaper to get over there as well, even though it's still not that cheap. Anyway, if you have any experiences of various different plant milks, let me know. I have a coffee machine at home. I try to froth it up a bit. Oat milk works a lot better than almond milk, in case you didn't know that. Anyway, we shall carry on, and we'll start thinking about how I'm going to set this up on the screen. If you join me at the airport, you'll know in my last live stream that Camo Studio for iPad didn't work that well. So I'm back to EVMux because I'm at home. It's still dark outside. You can see out here, out past the window, it's still very dark. That will sort of lighten up as we go through the morning. But yeah, let's add this here, and we shall transition this to there. Oh my gosh, are you seeing that? That works pretty well. I really, really like how that works. Yeah, EVMux I really, really liked. Paul, also on a milk substitute at the moment, oat milk. I think it is helping. Yeah, I think it is helping as well. Not so sure. I don't know how long you've been doing it, Paul. You let me know. I'm only on day 5. Okay, so it's not been a huge amount of time. I'm trying to get through at least 1 week and then possibly 2. And then we'll see how that goes. But yeah, let me know how far you've got. Another comment just dropped in. Somebody who's just dropped in to help me celebrate. Congrats on 10K subs from Kanerica. Greetings from Croatia. Fantastic. Yeah, do let me know where you are in case you don't know. I mean, but yeah, it's really cool that you get to. Whoop. Yep, I've got the. Can you still hear me? I'm still thinking that the mic is on. I just got like a little message here, but I'm hoping that's working all right. Yeah, it's great to have such an international audience. It's fantastic. So thank you, Kanerica, for joining in. I know that Nabila iAngel 23 is in Switzerland. which is fantastic. Stefan, where are you at the moment? It would be good to know if you're still there. Cool. Very, very cool. Paul, 4 weeks into your oat milk thingy, right? That's good to know that you can get in there. But trumping us all, Nabila, I had to stop all dairy products for more than 4 years. 4 years. I know that my wife had to give up with her last pregnancy on our daughter number 3. She had to give up milk through all dairy throughout the kind of like most of her pregnancy. And so she's been really good at kind of like hooking me up with things that are dairy free in the local supermarkets because she knows. So yeah, 4 years, crikey. Okay, you hold the record here at the moment. And Stefan, you're in the UK. Okay, good to know. Whereabouts in the UK? Are you going to be watching the election debate in about, I think it's 45 minutes time over there, I think. And also just been following the cricket a little bit as well. I'm not sure if you're a fan. But yeah, interesting times in the UK this summer, absolutely. All right, let's look at this this thing that I've got up on here. Let's go back 5 years, 5 months. And we find ourselves, okay, so you can see here on the right on the left, you can see I have 8th of November 2018. That's where I started my channel because I kind of had it in my mind. I'd always watched YouTube, not that much, but I'd watch YouTube kind of like registered. I had a guest account, had no reason to kind of like register account, but I was in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I wonder if I was going to give this a crack. And I was going to actually, at that point, leave psychology. And I was thinking about, spending more time as kind of like a parent, spending more time doing that kind of like part of my life. And then YouTube is going to be the thing that I did when I wasn't kind of like full-time parenting. So I started with a video, which I'm going to watch with you in a little while. So please stick around for that. We're going to cringe and watch my first video that I did, which was this one here, this Hong Kong layover. Back in January 2019 on my 50th birthday celebrations year. So it was the only time me and my friends from the UK could kind of find a time where we would all go away. So we went to Hanoi in North Vietnam and we traveled around in North Vietnam for a while. And this was my first video that I kind of like made and I put up. So yeah, that was the first one I did. In fact, why don't we put that up now? I don't know. Let's have a look at that. What do you think? What should we do? Watch that now, or should I stick to the story? I think I'll stick to the story because people kind of like walk in, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat, and then we'll watch the video together. All right. So if we move along, and we can see. Oh, hang on a second. My mum lurking has just popped in. Congratulations, sir. Thank you, my mum lurking. I am my mom lurking. I really, really appreciate it. That's really cool of you to drop in. Thank you. So yeah, I just was putting out videos. Started here. You can see that little bump. Here I put out a couple of little test videos. They were kind of like little time lapses and stuff. Don't really count those as like actual videos that I put up. But here I put up. I've started to put up some more videos. And then at this point here, sort of like around about October, November 2019, I started to get some traction with some videos. Now, it's interesting. If you think about what happens in October, November time, that's kind of like the buying season for like the tech market, particularly in the US. So yeah, I was starting to get a little bit of traction, and that's where I've got kind of like that kind of, the lightning bolt and the shopping trolley, because really it was people buying stuff. Now, I didn't really have affiliate links or anything like that. I wasn't kind of wise enough to do things like that on my channel at that point. And this 1.9 million views is not linked to this. This is in total. I didn't get 1.9 million views there. No, it was just kind of, I think it was like days where I was getting like, multiple hundreds of views, which was like, really exciting for me then. And then here where I've got this like Lucky Clover, I put out this video, which kind of like went a bit nuts for like, I don't know, 48 hours or so. And it was kind of like a gateway of getting attention with a few other companies and things who started like approaching me and saying, "Hey, would you be interested in maybe testing our camera and stuff like that?" So that's really where kind of my started working and getting Insta360 sending me cameras. Up until that point, I bought a couple of Insta360 cameras. Actually, Peter McKinnon put me onto the Insta360 One X. Not personally, of course. Don't know Peter. Love to know Peter. Seems like a fun guy. But no, I was watching one of his videos, and it was one of the first ones that I watched on a 360 camera. I was kind of curious about how this is going to work. And then I bought a 360 camera, and I traveled around a lot of New Zealand and a lot of the UK with it. And you will see some of that. If you go back in my catalog, I was making travel videos, again, travel videos with tech, with the Insta360 One X, but also with the original Go as well. We're up to the Go 3 now. And that was just so much fun. I love both of them. My my One X, and I documented the process of trying to get that fixed. And that kind of like got quite a few views as well here, right here. And then if we move along a little bit in time, I kind of got my 1K. My 1,000 subscribers was a big deal because I don't know if you know about how YouTube works, but that's when you kind of get monetized. 1,000 subscribers plus 4,000 watch hours. Those were the rules then. But yeah, I finally kind of got that. I mean, I don't know if any of you are kind of actively posting on YouTube now. If you are, drop me a comment, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. But then if we look at sort of like the end of 2019, early 2020, I was working in emergency management. At the end of December, I was kind of looking at kind of like the coronavirus. At that time, it was known as, and looking at that, very side-eyeing it and thinking that's coming, and it was coming this way. And so, yeah, that's when it kind of like hit. Initially, you can see here, my views went right down. And that's when I was in the acute kind of, hey, I'm going to have to try and figure out what I'm going to do. I was actually working with the New Zealand government quite closely at that point, doing a lot of advisory work for them. And then you can see here, I was kind of like chunted along throughout sort of like the first kind of like 3/4 of 2020, where I was trying to do both. I was trying to post videos every now and again, not particularly regularly. A couple of them were taking off, a couple of them were not. I was trying to still like doing a little bit of local kind of like travel whilst you could, with all the restrictions were on, whilst I was trying to do all of the pandemic-y kind of things as well. And then that just started becoming too much. And I just kind of stopped at the end of 2020. I was just like, I cannot do this. I'm going to have to put all in on kind of pandemic and psychology stuff. Ended up writing sort of like 3 books during that time. I think that was the time where I stopped. I was like really into writing the first book. And then that got picked up by Penguin in New Zealand, and it got internationally published and blah, 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 blah. And all the cool stuff that comes with that. But I actually did nothing here. Sort of like you can see from around about end of 2020, I put out a few videos here that started getting traction around there, and then nothing really until here, where I got this true. Now I did try again where it says false here at the sort of end of 2021. I thought, okay, we're in. We're out of the major part of this. I will sort of get on with trying to get back on YouTube again. But I couldn't sustain it. I just really couldn't. So I ended up just kind of like ramping back down again. But what I also found was that when I was kind of like back in my heyday in sort of like September, early 2020, I was kind of one of the few Insta360 kind of creators out there. And what I found was that when I started going back into the YouTube space, not only were there way more Insta360 creators out there, and so you had a lot more competition, I kind of lost all of my channel authority. The channel authority is like what YouTube does. It kind of looks at you and says, are you posting regularly? Is it worth promoting your videos? Do we have enough evidence that people will watch your videos? And I had lost all of that because I just wasn't posting regularly, if at all. And so YouTube had no clue as to whether it was worth promoting my videos and sharing them with others who may be interested in my content. And so I had to kind of like build that all up from scratch again. And I just didn't have the time to do that. And so it was really dispiriting. I remember that was probably one of my low points, all of that time, this big gap here between these two arrows, between sort of end 2020 and end 2022, this 2 year period where I just kind of like I was lost on YouTube. Nothing really happened. And that's a big chunk of that 5.5 years. And then ramping that back up again was really, really hard because I had to try and figure out who I was again. And I was going through quite a lot of like burnout and trying to deal with that from all of the work that I'd been doing to support the pandemic during all that time. So yeah, let me take a pause there before I get on to the good part of the story. Stefan, you're in southeast of London. Whereabouts in the southeast of London? Because I used to live in Honor Oak Park for about 3.5 years. So yeah, let me know whereabouts in southeast of London you are. And Nabila, just posting shorts of my cats at the moment. And maybe when I go to Norway in late September, I will try to post some travel vlogs and videos. Cool. Cats are cool. Tend to watch my cat videos on the gram, if I'm honest. And when I go to Norway in late September, I'll try to post some travel vlogs and videos. Cool. Norway is cool. Well, I think it's cool. I've never actually been there. Would like to go. If at some point in my life I'm based back up in Europe again, I would like to travel a bit more in kind of Scandinavia. Norway and Finland are two countries I've not been to. I have been to Denmark and I have been to Sweden. Only Stockholm, though, not really travel much in Sweden. So yeah, I would love to do that. So yes, in late September, do post some travel videos. I'd love to see them. Yes. Yep, Lewisham, Paul. Yeah, Honor Oak Park is in Lewisham. Just, I don't know if you know it. It's just kind of like between, between Brockley and Forest Hill. I think it's zone 3 stop. Problem was, it was like quite a small station and it was a really, really busy train line. So sometimes in the morning when I was trying to get into central London, I'd have to actually get a train out of London before getting a train back into London, because the only way that you could actually get not even a seat on the train, but actually just get on the train. And it was back in the day where they used to have the doors where you had to open it with a handle and pull it out and then go in and then close the door behind you. Yeah, what those carriages, the really, really old ones. Norway is incredible, says your mum lurking. Yeah, I've heard this, but I guess the thing is that I live in New Zealand. And then when I look at a lot of pictures of Norway, I'm like, that looks like New Zealand. So it's kind of like less of incentive to go there. And it looks even more expensive than New Zealand. New Zealand is expensive. So I'm like going, so it costs more and it looks kind of the same. Yeah, I'm going to have to go at some point, but it's kind of like not number one on my list to try and go, just because it's so much like New Zealand. It looks it anyway. Another place that looks a lot like New Zealand was Slovenia, surprisingly a lot like New Zealand. Yeah, the Julian Alps and around that area around Bled, very, very New Zealand-esque. I remember walking around the fields there just with another friend who hadn't moved to New Zealand at that point, but it was another English friend who had also travelled in New Zealand like I, and we both looked at each other and just went, New Zealand vibes. And yep, exactly like that. Paul lived 3 blocks from Lewisham Station, DLR into Bank, everybody. The DLR, yes. The driverless trains of the DLR. Yes, I don't get to do that often these days. Can't say I necessarily miss London commuting. New Zealand is totally on my list, says my mum lurking, your mum lurking, everyone's mum lurking. I love mountains and fjords. Yes, we have lots and lots of lakes, and we have lots and lots of mountains. I also love Wales for that. I love the tarns and walking around Snowdonia as well. Mountains are my big thing. I think mountains and deserts actually are just so humbling. They just make you feel your place in the universe, which is kind of insignificant. And I love being in places where I can feel not meaningless, but kind of it just shrinks the meaning of your life into something that is less overwhelming and less self-important, if you know what I mean. Just pay attention to nature, not just yourself all the time. Nabila, if I can actually put something decent together, I'll let you know. I will go to Loughton for my 55th birthday. 55 is a good year. I've just turned 55 and so far it's going well. So enjoy your 54th and be assured that 55 is kind of similar. That's really good. Loughton, I don't know where that is. I will have to look it up. Sounds cool though. The Swiss Alps also look like New Zealand. Yes, when I went interrailing, one of my must things that I wanted to do, I was 19 years old, was the train trip from Lucerne to Interlaken. And I still remember it. It was just so fantastic. I mean, one of the things that made it was that the train carriage had such massive windows. And I think from what I remember, there was glass in the ceilings as well, in the roof of the carriage going from Lucerne to Interlaken. It's one of the most beautiful trips, full stop, that I've ever done. It was so lovely. I really really enjoyed it. Paul again. When Scots started immigrating to New Zealand back in the day, they took one look at Auckland and said too hot, but the bottom half of the South Island was their vibe. Yeah, Dunedin, Edinburgh. You can see the route, can't you? Yeah, Dunedin is like the big city down the South Island of New Zealand. Past Christchurch, go down a bit further, not quite as far as Invercargill. Invercargill kind of calls itself a city, kind of a city. Dunedin is kind of like a city, like everybody else calls a city. Although the definition of a city in New Zealand, if you didn't know, is any town that has more than 50,000 people. Just let that sink in. Just 50,000 people to call yourself a city in New Zealand. That's how few people there are here. Hey, Devon. Oh, thanks, man. Oh, congrats on 10K. You deserve it. Thank you for popping in, Devon. It's lovely to see you here. Thank you so much. And I really, really appreciate it. That's really cool. And Nabila, mountains with water around are my favorite places. Grand Teton National Park in the US is also a wonderful place. I've not been to that one. That sounds really interesting. I have to look it up. I mean, one of my must places that I still haven't got around to doing, where I know your mum lurking has probably been, is Utah. Now, I've been to bits of Utah, but there's one specific bit of Utah that I want to go to, and that's Monument National Park, because of all the westerns that my dad and my uncles used to watch when I was a kid. All of those that I used to sit through as well were all kind of set around Monument National Park. So it's kind of all of that scenery is just kind of etched into my consciousness. Paul, you probably think the same too. Yeah, I would love to go to Monument National Park in the US. Grand Teton National Park, which state is that in, Nabila? I've not heard of it. That'd be quite interesting. Whiteleaf, Stefan, in southeast London. I don't know where that is. What's it near? Whiteleaf. I don't recognise that at all. That's really interesting. I know West London, Northwest London much better than I do Southeast London. When I was living in Southeast London, I was having to work in North London the whole time. So kind of didn't really do that much around sort of like Honour Park, apart from like really local, like Brockley, Forest Hill, that sort of area tended to be on the same train line anyway. Nabila, you took the panoramic train. It's a beautiful ride. You said Interrail. So many memories popped up. Did 6 months of it all around Europe. Oh, fantastic. 6 months of it. I only did a month. And I did it on £10 a day. £10 a day back in the day. And that had to include all my food and my accommodation and sleeping. So I ended up sleeping a lot on trains, getting overnight trains from one place of Europe to another, which is fantastic. And I was carrying a tent around with me. And it was a real old school tent as well, with like heavy steel metal poles. And it was just like an A tent. And I remember like being near Cannes. I think it was a place called Bio in Cannes in the south of France. And I stayed there, I think, for a week because I couldn't be asked to move anymore and to unpitch the tent and get up. But yeah, I had a good time still as well in the south of France for a week. It was fantastic. Grand Teton says, your mum liking Yosemite, Monument, Arches. Yeah, been to Yosemite. Your mum liking, you may be interested in this. When I went to Yosemite for second part of my honeymoon with Sarah, she convinced me to take my camera with me. I was not going to take my camera with me, but when I did take my camera with me, I was so happy that I did, because I took photos and then I showed them to some people when I got back to New Zealand. And one of them just happened to work in the US Embassy, and they were like, could you please do an exhibition, apply for funding with us? It's a competitive process. We'll see what we can do. And I applied for funding, and the US Embassy in New Zealand sponsored my exhibition. They paid for my exhibition of my photos from Yosemite. I've still got them on metal prints downstairs in storage. They're like some of the best photos I've ever taken. They were fantastic, really, really good. It was really fun processing those. So yes, Yosemite, I have very, very good memories of that. And it was in winter, right? There's so much snow. It was so much snow that we could hear this kind of like rumbling. And we kind of like were walking around saying, what is that? And somebody told us that it was snow falling from the waterfalls, so ice falling from the waterfalls. And that was the big sound that it was making. Yeah, Diane, it was so much snow that we were the last bus in. They closed the park for visitors for 3 days after we got there. So that was kind of cool because like there weren't that many people around because the weather was so bad. But once we got in, the weather turned and it was just kind of like really, really cold, but blue sky for a lot of the time that we were there. We were very, very kind of lucky and graced for the weather that we enjoyed when we were in Yosemite. Yes, Paul agrees with me. Same with my father who loved the Westerns. Yeah, Monument National Park. That landscape is forever etched in our memories. And I think there's a lot with our generation. Okay, thank you. Wyoming. Nabila, that's where Tettons is, just below Yellowstone National Park. Never been to Yellowstone. That's another one on my list as well. I would love to go there. I'm quite jealous if you have been there. Monument is on the Arizona-Utah border. Yeah, I've been to kind of Zion, and what was the other one that I went to around there as well? It will come to me. The other one that's quite close to there as well. Went to Zion National Park. I did a whole roadie myself, like Grand Canyon, Zion, and Bryce Canyon. Myself, just doing a roadie. And it was fantastic. Really, really good adventure for like, I think it was about 10 days that I just kind of like drove around and did this walks and these national parks and just stayed in motels and ate in weird places. It was really, really cool. I wish I was YouTubing back in the day when I was doing that, but you know, that's great. Yeah, Sarah for the nudge. Yeah, absolutely. She keeps reminding me of it. Yeah, that was really, really cool. I loved it. Nabila, love Monument Valley. Utah is amazing. All the parks, especially Bryce Canyon. Yeah, Bryce was amazing. The way you can go and walk down with all the hoodoos and all those kind of like little bits of rock that have been eroded and just kind of like standing there, that vibrant orange kind of like color, reddish orange color that looks so good in the sunrise and the sunset. Amazing. Arizona is also wonderful. In 2015 did a 3-month tour in the US with an RV. Whoa, you're quite the vagabond traveler. Awesome. That's great. I loved it. Love it. Now I've always been someone who's kind of like tried to get jobs. And then once a contract ends or once I've decided to leave, try to take a month or two off in between jobs. And then that's the way I've kind of like managed it in the past. Yeah, so that's what I've done. And that's how I managed to kind of like get time traveling. But, you know, you can't do that all the time. So, yeah, this is a good point to just come back into the into the story of my journey to 10K. So let's go back here. I was kind of like, you know, a bit discouraged, more than a bit discouraged with there being so many creators. I was trying to kind of like figure out what was I going to do then? How am I going to manage this? What actually is my channel about? So my true return back into creating again was probably around the end of 2022. And that's when I was thinking, okay, I've threatened to kind of like give up psychology lots and lots of times. Now it's not just a case of preference. It's a case of saving my mental health, but also the mental health of my family, because I was really burned out. I was only just starting to recognize just how burned out I was. And I was kind of preparing to kind of like get out. And that was the point where I can't remember. I think we just had Delta and then Omicron variant of pandemic came along, and I was needed to kind of like just help them manage what they were going to do with that in terms of like psychological consequences of that and the restrictions that may come in and society. And then I just kind of like was like, by the time I got around to December, January, I was already planning to exit, and I exited and I ended my registration in March 2023. But by that time, I was already kind of like posting again. But I was kind of not, it wasn't exactly random, but I was just kind of trying to do what I was doing before without necessarily thinking about, well, what is it that, not only what is it that YouTube would like me to do in terms of like serving my audience, but what is it that I want to do? And if you stick with me, we'll watch my first video again because I watched it last night and I was like, oh my God, so this is where I started off. And I've kind of like circled back to where I was in terms of like doing like travel videos, but with like a tech slant on them. That's whether it's me using the tech or me talking about tech and having a good mix of that. Now, I started posting these here in this area here between True and this big spike here, which is this pair of shorts. And the reason why I put them there is that that's when I started posting shorts, not these shorts, but YouTube shorts. And I was getting like big spikes in terms of views. And I carried on doing that for a while. But then what I realized is that, and other people were talking about it on YouTube at the time, and I don't know if you've been doing this and your experience of it, but shorts were starting to just kind of destroy my channel, I thought. My average watch time was kind of like plummeting. Now, YouTube says that they kind of like apportion out shorts. They kind of treat them differently. They don't treat them the same as your long form videos. They have like a separate calculation and algorithm around how they calculate your average watch time and satisfaction with your videos. But what I was finding was that when I was posting shorts, that was just plummeting, going down. And I think it was because I was just attracting a different kind of audience. And part of what they wanted was shorter videos. And they didn't really have the attention span or whatever, or the motivation to watch my long form videos or the interest, because that's just not what they were into. They liked consuming shorts. And so I made the decision after a while of doing that and thinking about it and talking about it with people that I was just going to stop doing shorts and actually remove them from my channel. I didn't want them to be found. Even when YouTube introduced the bit where you could like link your shorts to the long form video that you may have taken that short from, still did nothing for me. In fact, it was just making things worse. So I put some shorts up, and then you can see that steady climb down is like, that's when I just kind of like got rid of the shorts on my channel. And then we have this, me eating this donut in Japan. And this is where I kind of like did a lot of work with actually let's step back a second, and I will tell you about the significance of your mum lurking being on this channel today. I became aware that one of the problems that I had when I was working as a psychologist, and I know about you too, in these days of kind of like contracting and all the rest of it, is I was actually quite lonely. I was working at home all the time. I was writing books at home all the time. I was doing Zoom calls. I was doing consulting. I was doing writing. I was doing everything alone by myself in a very small room. And one of the things that I figured out was that I actually needed company. I actually needed human contact, and I actually needed somebody who could bounce ideas off as well. I just check out my thinking and also inject new ideas and get me thinking about things as well. And so what I did was I started looking around, and I was like, well, if I was a psychologist, what would I do? You'd look for supervision. But I was like, okay, so I'm not a psychologist, but what's the equivalent? And so I started looking around for a coach. I started thinking about, okay, so what is it that I'm going to do? How am I going to do this? I know I will find a coach. And I ended up with vidIQ. So I've been working with vidIQ with their coaching system, and that's been really, really good. And you can see from the yellow line here is that's when I started thinking about, okay, so who do I want to be? Now, I went through this kind of iteration when I started the True thing. I jumped out of this studio for a second there. Let me get back into the story. Let's find this again. Okay, and we are back here. All right. So yes, I was like, I rebranded as the Saab Johal for a while. And then that yellow line is here with me eating the donut, I rebranded as the Tech Packer. And, oh, sorry, the dog's trying to get in. I rebranded as the Tech Packer. And this was after a lot of work that I did with Diane, who is my coach. Your Mum Lurking is my coach on vidIQ. And so we kind of like connect pretty often around some of the ideas that I might have and just thinking about, well, how am I going to frame this? What do I want to do with my channel? And one of the things that I decided, and she encouraged me to do, was like, I actually wanted to be a travel tech channel. That's where I saw my passion. That's where my world kind of like came together. I love tech and I love travel, but I never thought I was going to be good enough. I remember when starting on YouTube, I just look at travel kind of creators and just go, I can't do that life, right? I'm not a single person. Even then I had kids, but then I had like more kids, and I was like, well, that's just not the kind of travel that I can do. So, one of the things that I have been kind of like encouraged to do is to think about, am I back on again? Can you hear me? Because I know a few people just sort of like just went, no signal anymore, but I am back, right? Let me know in the comments that you can see me. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. I'm not hearing anything. Let me just post up my my YouTube channel myself and just see if I can see myself. Oh, I'm on. Phew. Thank you, Paul. Excellent. Thanks, Diane. Thank you, Nabila. Thank you. So yeah, one of the things that I was starting to talk to myself about is I wanted to be a travel channel, but I never believed that I could do it. And so just trying to figure out, okay, so how am I going to travel when I'm a dad, an older dad at that point? I'm 55 and I've got a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 13-year-old. How am I going to balance that without being like a really crappy husband who disappears? How do I carry on parenting? But then how do I actually get to the point now where I want to grow my channel such that it releases me and enables me to live the life I really want to live and actually occasionally take my kids and family away with me as well? So that's my goal now, right? And this is what I want to be doing. I want to be doing this travel tech thing, and I want to grow my channel. And I really, really appreciate you being here today to help me do that and to connect with you and to share my story about where I've been so far. And you can see since that I had this kind of decision that this is what I want to do. And I think that there are other people like me out there who are in various stages of life, right? But who want to combine their work and balance that with travel. They're into the tech. They don't want to be overcomplicated about the tech. They just want to kind of like capture their stories and maybe even bring their stories together and put them out on YouTube themselves. And that's what I wanted to do. But I wanted to kind of like just share a bit of joy and fun as well in life, of just kind of like really running around and doing interesting things. I'm not never going to be that super adventurer who like jumps out of planes and stuff. That kind of phase of my life is not over, but I've done that, been there. I wasn't on YouTube then. But I'm in a different phase of my life now. And I think that there are a lot of other people who are kind of like re-editing, rethinking about their lives as we come out of the pandemic in this cost of living crisis, thinking about, well, how do I do this stuff without spending like a ton of money, like on my gear, but how do I have like little mini adventures maybe sometimes? I went to Queenstown last week. You'll see my vlog about that on Monday this week. I just did a tiny little one just to show you around so you could see, just to whet your appetite about things that you might want to be able to do too. So you can see that upward slope there that's come up since sort of like around September, October, which, I've been working with vidIQ. Diane has been like a massive part of that as well. So Your Mum Lurking, thank you very much. Really, really appreciate you and your help. And you can see that along with that and people actually liking and subscribing and being into my videos, these are views, by the way, they've just started to kind of like steadily go up. Now, I don't think I'm ever going to have a viral video. I'm not that kind of like creator. But I'm hoping that I continue to see this kind of like steady growth upwards. And now we are 5 years, 5 months later, after I kind of like posted my first real video on YouTube, that this is where I'm at right now, here on the 5th of June in 2024. And I've it's been a testing journey for those 2 years, but for the last sort of like 6 months or so, I could genuinely say I've had a lot of fun. I've really, really enjoyed it. It's been, I get anxious about how the channel is doing. I'm not going to lose that, I don't think, until kind of, it's actually making me an income. It's nowhere near making me an income at the moment. This is a good time to put this banner up, I think. Yeah. But yeah, it's nowhere near making me an income yet, but I am trying to do that, and it is growing a little bit, and so I'd like to be there, sort of like in the position of being able to grow my channel a lot faster. So what does fast look like? So I went to Social Blade, and oh, hang on a second, I got to put these back on. All right, so Nabila, you're so lovely. I like the mix of technology and travel content since I'm a tech freak and love to travel. Although since the sabbatical year 2015 did not get to travel much. Yeah, okay, fair enough. We all probably have to try and figure out that balance. But hey, look at this. I don't know if you're still Dion. Thank you, your mum looking for supporting subs. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you, Nabila, as well. Thank you. So yeah, I've it's been, a tough journey, but what does Social Blade say? Social Blade says, I'm probably going to be, Social Blade is this kind of like thing where you can log in. Hang on a second. Let me just see if I can find it to show you. Let me just end this one. Let's stop that video share. Let's bring me over here. And then let's try and, oh, look, I'm very big on the screen again. Let me just try and find this one here, and I'll bring it on screen and show you. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. Let's bring this over. Okay, Social Blade here. Oh, actually, I don't know. You might not be able to see it. I can barely see it. It reckons I'll probably be around about 15,000. Oh, I haven't brought it over. Let me bring it over. It reckons I'll probably be around about 15,000 subscribers in around about December this year. Yeah, okay, I'll take that. But it reckons I'm not going to be at 100,000 subscribers until like the end of 2026. And I don't really want that. So I'm going to be pulling out all the stops to keep putting out consistent, good, great content, hopefully, that you enjoy, and try to really, really bring that down a bit. I would love to be at 20,000 subscribers by the end of this calendar year. I'd love to be at 50,000 subscribers by the middle of next year. I would love to be at 100,000 by the end of 2025. And I think that's the kind of goal that I want to set myself. I really want to give this a really solid push. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about at the moment. Let me just bring myself back over here. So yeah, I don't really want to I don't want to be at 20,000 subscribers in 5 years' time. That's not the pace that I want to kind of like continue at. I really, really want to try to accelerate that. Let's just bring Diane here. This is very kind, Diane. Thank you very much. It's so easy. He's a joy to work with, and I love tech and travel. Thank you, Diane. I hope I am relatively easy to work with. And Paul, he's a joy to watch cricket and drink coffee with too. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. That's lovely. That's lovely. Yeah, we do. We do need that breakout video. We need something that kind of like, I've noticed, it's like I look at my like views daily and it tells you how many views you're getting per hour. And I can get a bit anal about this kind of stuff. But yeah, it kind of like caps me at around about 240 views per hour and it just kind of like, it just stops there. And it's kind of like a ceiling. It's like, no, you can't. You're in algorithm jail. You won't get any further than this. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what is the video that takes me up to the next level. We'll see what happens if something happens. All right, now it's time to watch. I reckon it's time to watch a little bit of my first video. It's only like 6 and a bit minutes long. It's reasonably interesting, and I probably won't talk over it that much. I might pause it every now. I probably just, yeah, like it just takes one video. Controversy, baby. Yeah, Diane's like egging me on to find some kind of like controversy that I can weigh in on. There has been one recently, but I was like, do you know what? I've never really experienced that with this company, so I'm not going to weigh in on that because I feel like it kind of like diminishes my integrity if I'm just kind of like piling in when I have no reason to, just for the sake of it. Yeah, Paul wants some free advertising space, it looks like. You need to make that breakthrough video so I can beg for free advertising space. You wouldn't have to beg, mate. You wouldn't have to beg. It's fine. We'll sort something out, I'm sure. I'm sure. Just a couple of coffees or something. All right, so let me just find this video. I've written down to myself like where it actually is, so I'm not like searching around for it. Let's bring this over here. Oh, no, we don't want it on at the moment. I just heard it starting to play. Let's add that to the scene. Let's bring it back, and I will bring it into the screen here. Okay, let me know if it's too loud. Okay, just let me know if it's too loud. We'll just watch this, and you'll see me in the corner here. I may pause it every now and again and cringe, or I might comment on something. All right, let's go. Let's watch this. Okay, let me just pause it there for a second. Okay, so firstly, I was really into time shifts, the kind of like the walking time lapse thing at the moment. And also, this is my first ever action camera. In case you're interested in the tech, this is a GoPro Hero 7 Black. I did everything on this video with the GoPro Hero 7 Black. And I'm pretty sure that I use an external mic rig with it like the whole time as well when I was speaking. Okay, this is a really long intro, isn't it? Right. So I think I've learned since then is that this is a very long intro. It's a minute 30. No one said anything. That's not very good. But you know, it's my first video. It's not that. Is it bad? Let me know. Is it bad?
So this is Mongkok in Hong Kong.
Okay, I'm very, very skinny and very, very clean shaven here. We can see this right now.
And this is apparently one of the most densely populated places on Earth, which doesn't surprise me. It's 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. It's still pretty slow. It was pretty slow this morning when I arrived at 6 o'clock, but it's warming up. It's pretty grey and misty. You can see all the buildings around here now where everybody's living, and people coming out to do their shopping. I was trying to figure out, when was the last time I was in Hong Kong? Now, I moved to New Zealand in 2005. I've been toing and froing from the UK a lot and around the world with the last job that I had, which I'm not doing anymore, but it meant that I was constantly going in Asia and the US. But the last time I was in Hong Kong was, I think, about 10 years ago. I haven't been for a long, long time. So I can't really tell whether it's changed. I'm sure it has. But yeah, I can't put my finger on it. But it is an amazing place. When you live in one of the kind of least busy capital cities in the world, in Wellington, New Zealand, and you come to Hong Kong, I wouldn't exactly call it culture shock because I grew up in London, but it's certainly busier. And the smells and the food and the people, it's great actually. I'm really looking forward to the next destination.
Okay, I'm going on a little bit here.
In a few hours.
I'll cut this a lot more now.
I'll leave that a mystery for now. I'm going to head over to the bird market and see what's going on over there, and then I probably need to head back over to the airport because I've done my wandering around for the day so far. Catch you later.
Oh no, look at this. It's really good. This is like as good as you're a second person at that. I think people just wait. Listen. Oh. It's completely inappropriate music. Okay, so let's just pause there for a second because Nabila says couldn't hear what I was saying. So you can see how jerky that kind of like time lapsey bit was as well. But I was just really, really into like walking time lapses at the time, and I think it was kind of like relatively new technology. It just wasn't very good. You could see that, and you can see also. Yeah, I know the music's too loud. I can't really figure out a way of turning it down without possibly losing it completely, like me losing the feed again. Let me have a look. Oh, here we go. I could do it. There we go. That's much better now. And then I'll be able to turn that up when I'm speaking, because again, the volume, I've got the volume kind of like equalization completely like wrong as well. So yeah, there's that. I much prefer these bits where I'm just kind of like looking and showing you what's going on, but that bit where I was talking was way too long as well. But yeah, it's still not bad, but it's not great. Right, I've turned the music down. Yeah, it was interesting. You got all these locusts and things feeding kind of like birds and stuff. It was really like looking as well. So we just off and then falling and they're both behind. Completely inappropriate music. I don't know what it's I think at this point it was actually difficult to get hold of music. So I think at this point it was also like really difficult for me to get decent music. I think I was using Envato Elements at this point. This is before kind of maybe I was aware of Epidemic Sound and other kind of like music sources that I could use. So I was just kind of like using what I could find, and there wasn't a lot that I could use, and I wasn't knowledgeable enough to find decent music that I could use without falling into like copyright problems. I'm still getting pinged for some of these videos with people who have taken over these kind of like music catalogs and then pinging me for copyright restrictions. Unfortunately, I still have the login and everything from my Envato account. I actually had to dispute a video from 2019 just yesterday, saying, "Look, I actually own the license for this." So yeah, it's nuts. But I think, in my defense, Your Honor, I don't think I had a lot of choice out there and a lot of knowledge about what kind of music I could and couldn't use. And yeah, that the insect thing is completely creepy.
Frankly, I'm shattered. 23,000 steps walking around Kowloon, and I am spent. There's some interesting stuff. I kind of got a mixed feeling about the birds thing. I mean, yep, absolutely, except I'm in Hong Kong, and that's just kind of what you do. And yeah, it was really interesting to see men in particular, like what they did on a Sunday morning, and also the live feed.
Let me just see if I can get this volume back up again. Nope, doesn't want to let me. Here we go.
They had kind of stocked up. You saw some of the shots of that as well. But me, I kind of grew up in culture where I guess for me the value is birds being free, but birds are kept as pets as well in the UK and in New Zealand, although it's becoming less common. So there you go, interesting cultural difference. Let me know if you've got any thoughts about that. I am pooped, so I'm going to spend an hour or so just kind of putting my feet up at the airport before I head off to the next destination. So don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, like and please subscribe so you don't miss any more. It helps me out as well, just start build up a bit of a following for the video. Until the next one at the next destination, ciao.
Right, okay, let's stop that and let's talk about this for a second. So yeah, way longer than it needed to be. Let's get rid of that and let's bring me back here. Way longer than it needed to be. The music was completely inappropriate. Spent too long using those kind of like time shifty kind of like things, which are like really jerky, when I actually these days I would much more use slow motion. And I would have cameras that are more capable and capturing at least 1020p slow motion, 120 frames per second. Although with sometimes what I do is I shoot 4K 60 frames per second. So then if as an afterthought, I'm like, or not even as an afterthought, I'm just kind of like filming already in mind that I might use this in slow motion, and it's half slow motion. And often that's enough for me to kind of like just kind of get a different kind of a cinematic vibe of whatever it is that I'm just walking down the street. So yeah, I wouldn't be using that kind of like time shift stuff these days. And the sections where I'm talking are just kind of like too long sometimes without any sort of like B-roll for that kind of a video. You know, I do talk for a long time in some videos without too much B-roll, but often it's kind of like later on the video and I'm making a particular point. But yeah, but it wasn't that bad for my first video. I looked back at it yesterday, like thinking I was going to cringe like terribly, and I cringed a bit, but not like super badly. I don't know about you. Maybe I'm just kind of like looking at that with very rose-tinted spectacles. Hey, Digital Analog Ham, thank you for joining me. And everybody, just comment, what did you think if you did catch that video? Let me know your thoughts about it, apart from me kind of like playing it way too loud with the music, and the music equalization was just like horrible. Use OBS to live stream and it's great. I have used OBS in the past, but when I use OBS, it screws up my camera feeds for other things. It just kind of like gives me this kind of like spinning wheel, and it just messes up how cameras interact over different kind of programs or apps that I might use on my app. So I just ended up disinstalling it, uninstalling it, disinstalling it. What's that? Uninstalling it, because it was just messing too many things up. But yeah, it was great. It's great for just live streaming, but it just messes too many other things up on my Mac. That's my experience anyway. Thank you very much. Congrats on 10K. It takes a lot of work. I have a similar amount, or respect the amount of work you put in. Oh, well, thank you so much. And thank you for that. It does take a lot of work to get here. Some people do get there like really quickly. Diane shared a few videos with me, and you just sit there scratching your head, going, "How did that happen? Like, what is resonating about this with people such that this happens?" And often, if you look back on their video kind of like catalog, there's one video that's responsible for like a ton of views on their channel, and it's not the only one, but there's a standout video or two that's responsible for a lot of views and probably a lot of followers and subscribers on their channel as well. And yeah, it's like, you know, I could just sit around just trying to make that breakthrough video, and I do spend a little bit of time, of course, thinking about how you improve your videos as you go along, but I'm not searching for that holy grail of the breakthrough video, because I think that would destroy the enjoyment that I have of the process of making videos. And I think one of the things that I get is that a real massive sense of completion when I get a video done. One of the most satisfying things on my YouTube journey was on my recent trip to Japan. I wanted to do it differently than my August trip last year to Japan, where I still have footage that I'm going to start processing in a week or two and start putting out short guide videos. But what I wanted to do on my most recent trip to Japan is I'm not having that again. I'm not going to have there a hard drive of stuff that I just need to process. I want to go out and I want to film, and I want to edit it either that night and get it uploaded, or the next morning. And I never wanted to fall more than a day, maximum 2 days behind. And I did it. I did 11 days, and I had everything processed and almost uploaded. There was the last video which failed at the airport in Japan to upload, and I managed to upload it when I landed in Auckland. But yeah, all the others I managed to edit and upload whilst I was in Japan, so that the most of the work was already done. And that for me was an incredibly satisfying process, because I ended that trip feeling great, and I had a really good time, and I didn't come back home feeling like super tired and this weight of this like massive amount of like footage that I knew I was going to have to process, but I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. So yeah, that was transformative for me, and that's how I'm going to do all my trips from now on. I'm going to be taking that approach of like capturing live footage, thinking about my story very early on in the day, capturing all the footage that I need, and then putting it together. And that might change, like when I'm putting it together, in terms of the emphasis of the story and how I use the footage. But vlogs are so incredibly satisfying. I did a short course with Casey Neistat. It wasn't actually with Casey Neistat. It was a course that he made. So I wasn't live doing it with Casey Neistat. But it was on a platform called Studio. I think it's called something else now. And if you look at my 30,000 Days to Live video on my channel, that was kind of like one of my homeworks for doing that, that course. And I'm thinking about doing another one like that fairly soon, now that I've hit 55 and I'm at this point with my YouTube journey. What's going to happen next? What do I want to, how am I going to be intentional about getting to that kind of 20,000 by the end of this year, 50,000 by the middle of next year? But what does that free me? What does that enable then me to do if I do that? You know, what do I want my life to be about now that I am 55? And we have an average age span of about 30,000 days, which is about 82 years old. So yeah. Nabila, I started to watch me, I guess, for Insta360 Go 3, and then like the way you explain the tech and the way that you talk. Just happy you don't have a New Zealand accent. No offense to New Zealand inhabitants. You know, this is really interesting to me, in that my accent does change, right? It changes according to who I'm talking to. So if I am with like a whole load of New Zealanders, or I've even listened to myself when I'm on New Zealand TV or New Zealand radio, I sound more like a New Zealander. When I'm on YouTube, I sound kind of like neutral. When I'm in London, I'm all right, mate. I'm out. What are we doing tonight? I'm very much West London kind of like accent. And when I'm outside of London in England, then I'm more kind of like this neutral, unless I'm with friends from London, in which case it all falls apart. So yeah, I have a very fluid kind of accent within the different places that I've kind of like lived. I know that when I went to Canada, when I was 16 years old, this is my first like big trip away overseas by myself. Well, I wasn't actually by myself. I flew by myself, sent off by my parents, and I went to stay with my cousins and my uncle in Toronto in Canada. But I came back after, I think, 5 weeks with a Canadian accent, which I lost after a few days, but I couldn't shake it for a while. So I catch accents like colds, and I've learned that I can actually shed them too, but it might take a few days, just like a cold does. So yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah, geezer, as we would say, Paul. Yes, absolutely. So yeah, that's my story with getting to 10K. And that was my first video. I hope it wasn't too painful to watch with me. Thank you so much for being here today. I really, really do appreciate it. I'm going to start winding up now because I have a few things to do. The kids are going to start getting booted and suited, ready to go to school and kindy and all the rest of it. I've got a few things that I need to do, and then I'm making a video for the rest of the day, quite a big one that I need to get through and do. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to try and do these live streams a little bit more often on a Wednesday. And so you can start thinking about making that regular. It won't be next week, though. Next week, I'm kind of like minding the kids. My wife has to be away for the day. But I will be doing these hopefully more regularly on a Wednesday, at least for the next sort of like 2 or 3 months, until mid-September, when I have my next trip, which is going to be going to the UK via a few days in Shanghai in China. And then I'm going to be going to Lisbon as well, which is somewhere that I have never been, which I am really, really looking forward to. Just a few comments just to round us off and to see us out the door. I catch accents like cold as well in all the languages I speak, especially Italian. Wow, how many languages do you speak, Nabila? I imagine growing up in Switzerland, and that's kind of like second nature. You're going to have to, or living in Switzerland, you're going to have to know a few different languages, or at least have passing knowledge of them. Cheers, Paul. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. And yeah, I love seeing some of the same people as well as new people coming in to the live stream. It's fantastic. I will do, Nabila. Thank you very much. You too. Have a great day, everyone. I'm out of here. Peace, everyone. Be safe. Love everything you do. And I'll see you again soon.